Hi, and welcome back. I'm Iryonnahogan, the Legacy Leader, and my channel is all about building wealth, financial literacy, and empowering one another. So make sure you subscribe and hit the like button. Today we're going to talk about how to audit your credit and why it's important to know about statute of limitations. Before you can get started, you have to make sure that you have your credit report, your actual accurate credit report, right? So you want to either go to freeannualcreditreport.com. Why? Because it's free. Or you can go to Identity Club. I recommend Identity Club. It is a little costly when it comes to credit reports because if you can get it for free, why don't you do that? But with Identity Club, they're going to give you a better breakdown. They're going to tell you all about your negative accounts, your positive accounts. They're going to give you advice as to what you can do to help. It's just a better in-depth reading when it comes to your credit report. So I just encourage Identity Club if that's something that you can afford. If not, go ahead and get the free one at freeannualreport.com. Okay, so after you've gotten your reports from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, you're going to look at it in its entirety. You're going to go through all the sections. You want to make sure you know what you're going up against, right? So in order to attack credit, you got to know what's on there. And you want to make sure, is there an error that's done by yourself or is it something that's being done by one of the creditors? So when you're looking for these items, what you're going to look at, of course, the cover page. That's going to give you information like reported date, show you your actual credit score readings and things like that. When you get into the personal information, it's going to show you name, date of birth, address, previous employers, and things like that. And you want to make sure that stuff is accurate. I don't care if they have your name spelled wrong. That means what? That it's inaccurate. So if my name is what? Iryonna, and they spell my name with one N, I'm going to go ahead and say, sorry, that's not my name. My name is spelled with two N's, right? So you want to make sure you look at everything. When you go down to the account summaries, that's going to tell you your total balances and your total amount of accounts. When you get into your public records, start looking at the account detail. Every account that makes your credit score, right? So you want to look at the dates. If you apply for a credit card, is the dates accurate? The day that you went and applied for that credit card? Is that going to be the same date that reflects your actual credit report? You want to make sure that you're looking at your inquiries, both hard PUS and soft PUS. And then also those closed accounts, because just for instance, if you purchased a vehicle and you pay your vehicle off, those closed accounts can stay on your report for 7 years plus 180 days of the last date of activity. So it's important to just really go through your report over and over again to know what's on there before you actually start your dispute process. You want to know, what are you responsible for? What are things that the creditor, what things that the creditor is responsible for? And what you want to know, how to position yourself. That's very important. How to position yourself and educate yourself so that you know how to go against it. I want you to know that the Federal Trade Commission has already stated that 1 out of 4 credit reports has an error. So that means that there's some work to be done, which is why it's so important to know the statute of limitations. Just like you want to know what's on your credit report, you need to be familiar with what the statute of limitation is for your debt. I'm going to read directly what that is. A statute of limitation is the amount of time a person can take legal action on a certain event. There are a few types of statute of limitation. This is federal statute of limitations and then the statute of limitation on debt. So it's so important that you know what those things are. And it's so important because every state has a different timeline. And I'm going to just give you a couple examples. Before I give you the examples, I want you to know that there's 4 different types of agreements. You have your oral agreements, written contracts, promissory notes, and open-ended accounts. Okay, so go and read up on what those are. I'm not going to get into that today, but just for the sake of time, I just want you to understand that there's 4 different ones. So if you're someone from Michigan like myself, you have 6 years, right? 6 years. If you're someone that's in North Carolina, you have 3 years on some of the things and 5 years on some of the things. And what does that mean? Well, let's get to it. Can you be sued outside the statute of limitations? Yes. But 9 times out of 10, when you go to court, if you can prove that that debt is outside of the limitations, you'll win by default. Understand that you can be sued, but they have to prove it. You have laws as consumers. If that debt is outside of the statute of limitations, then 9 times out of 10, it's going to be in your favor. The ball is going to be in your court. So again, read on the statute of limitations for your state as it varies. It is just so important. And please understand that when you have things like bankruptcies, evictions, inquiries, collections, tax liens, these things can stay on your credit report for 7+ years. Again, it just depends on what state you're in. So it's so important, so important to understand where you stand with your credit. So just to recap, today, when you are in the beginning process of disputing, you want to make sure that you're pulling your credit report. Check everything in its entirety 3 or 4 times. Look for anything that's inaccurate. You want to make sure, is it something on the behalf of you or something that a creditor did? You versus them is very important because that's going to let you know how to position yourself when doing all of your disputes. And last but not least, get familiar with what the statute of limitations are for your state and federally as it relates to your debt. Again, I'm Iryonnahogan, the legacy leader. Thank you for tuning in with me. Make sure that you subscribe and hit the like button. You guys have a blessed day.